Well, hi, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I've got a number of cameras that I still haven't reviewed in this in my collection, and some of them I use all the time, and I find I haven't ever actually reviewed them. I think, like for instance, the Canon 700D is a fantastic digital SLR camera that I use all the time, but I haven't actually ever reviewed it, so I'm going to do that probably sometime soon. And try and work my way through all the rest of the cameras I've got here that I've never reviewed on this channel. So I thought today I'd do one. I've got a number of Nikon cameras, couple of Nikon digital SLRs and about three film Nikon SLRs. I did used to have another one that fell apart, which I've talked about on this channel before. But today I thought I'd deal with the Nikon F90, which I've had for a while now. And when it came out, it was pretty much the state of the art, and I think it was superseded by the Nikon F100. But they're both very good cameras, but I'm going to talk about the F90 today, which is this one here. And it's a beautiful, it's quite solid, chunky plastic camera, autofocus, auto everything, and manual settings to boot. And so we're going to just have a little bit of a look at it. Before I do that, I'm going to just read a few things. I've got a brochure. I used to collect brochures all the time back in the day when I was looking around for photos, for cameras, I mean. And looking on the back of this, I must have got this from one of the camera stores in Adelaide. At the time, the body selling retail Australian, it says on the back here, was $14.95 and $1,495. There was a lens, what was that? Sure how much that is, maybe $600 that went with it. I'm not sure what the lens was, and a flash for $560. Yeah, I'm not quite sure on the cost of the lens, but anyway, it wasn't a cheap outfit back in the day. So this would have been back in the 1980s, maybe 1990s. I'm not sure when it came out, maybe the 1980s, I think. And it's a beautiful camera. So I'm going to just talk about a few of the things in the brochure. It says on the front here, Nikon F90, designed to inspire. So maybe this will inspire you. Designed to inspire, a system you've never seen before. From Nikon, the leading name in professional photography, comes a visionary idea. A camera designed with technology so advanced yet so user-friendly, it inspires you to try every one of the dazzling new features. The F90, more than just a camera, it's a whole new way of photography, offering performance that translates a photographer's perception of reality, not only into better pictures, but also more types of pictures. The F90 system, you'll enjoy not only the results, but also the process. It's a synthesis of science and human creativity as only Nikon could have conceived. You'll be inspired, we promise. There's a picture there showing the flash up on the top there. I've got one of those flashes, and the flashes work very well. That was the Nikon SB25, Speedlight SB25. I think I've got one similar to that. But this camera doesn't have a built-in flash. So you do, if you want to use flash, you've got to have an extra flash on there. So let's just find a couple of things here. A lot of the photos that are used in this illustration are taken by the late Galen Rowell. And I don't know whether you can get a bit of an angle on that. And designed to inspire a new dimension in color and detail. Nikon's original metering system unfailingly adds new depth to pictures, bringing out subtle variations in the scene, even in difficult, complex light. You'll trust this meter, especially when second shots are impossible. It can make the difference between a good exposure and an inspired picture. Supposedly that was written by Galen Rowell. And there's another man over here, Roger, not sure what his name is. I was reading some stuff over here. Here we go. You've never seen a focusing system like this. That's what they're talking about there. I'll just read out some of the stuff that they've got on there about the focusing system. It's got wide area and spot autofocus. Whatever picture you have in mind, you can rely on the F90's two great focus aids, wide area and spot. You want to use wide area AF's unmatched 7mm horizontal focus detection area. in practically any shooting situation. You get edge-to-edge sharpness even if the main subject is off-center. But if you want to emphasize your main subject or only a portion of it, there's spot AF. A tiny area at the center of the finder allows you to focus directly on any specific part of the subject that's critical to your composition. A welcome Nikon touch that helps you take great pictures with a wider variety than ever. Choice of autofocus mode, single, servo, or continuous. And so the bit over here, it says about automatic focus tracking. This is interesting. But what if your subject moves? The F90's engineers had an inspired answer to this one too. Nikon's performance-proven focus tracking feature automatically takes over, regardless of the autofocus mode selected. That's interesting, isn't it? In combination with wide area autofocus, this computer-assisted system analyzes the speed of your now moving subject with driving the autofocus lens while anticipating the exact position of a subject during exposure. Result, a sharp picture you will love to show around. You will be inspired to take more. Manual focus, M with electric rangefinder, and for the times when you want to focus the lens yourself, you will appreciate the F90's thoughtful electronic rangefinder, which you'll find much easier to use than optical rangefinders. Again, you have a choice of wide or spot detection, arrows in the viewfinder, LCD guide you to turn the lens, and when your subject is in focus, a small circle confirms it. You might even be inspired to take intentionally soft focus portraits or landscapes. There you go. So this brochure is it's got a lot of detail in it. Automatic balance fill flash. You've never seen a flash system like this before. 5-segment through the lens multi-sensor flash, 3D multi-sensor balance fill flash, center weighted and spot fill flash, standard through the lens flash. And so it's a good camera to use in combination with these flash. It's good to use these this camera in combination with the really good flashes you can get for it. Had a little bit of a coughing fit there before, so I've had to get some lubrication. Hopefully that'll keep me going. We were talking about the flash, which the flash system, the flash I was talking about. I've got one of these lovely flashes that go with the Nikon cameras here that I bought when I bought my Nikon F801, and that flash came with it, and that's a beautiful flash. And but we'll move along. We'll just talk about a few of the things here. Maybe I'll just show you what the camera looks like on the top panel here. And maybe just before I do that, I'll just show you a picture in the brochure here. That lens that they're showing there broken away from the camera is the same one that I've got on the camera here, which is a Nikon 35-70. I don't know whether you can see that there. Nikon 35-70, and it's an f3.3 to 4.5 zoom lens. And it's a nice little lens. It's a standard lens that came with all these cameras that were coming out around about the time. In fact, I had a spare one of these I sold to someone recently when I was wanting to sell one of my cameras, and she didn't want the camera, just the lens to go with her camera. So this is quite a popular lens. I've got about 3 of these still, but they go with the cameras that I've got. So one of the tricks that you've got to remember with this camera is that when you've got the camera, I'll just turn it on. There's a switch up here where you turn the camera on. Wait a minute, which way does it go? Okay, it's turned on now. You can probably see some of it now. So if you've got it set in P, which this is set in P at the moment, program, and there's no film in it, so it's showing an E in the viewfinder there, showing, well, there's a lot of reflections in here, isn't there? Wait a minute. There you can, I think you can see the E there. So there's what you've got to be careful with when you are using this camera in program, if you don't have the lens barrel, I don't know where you can see that there. See how it's set on F22 there? If you don't have it set on F22, you'll get an error. So you need to make it, that's your auto setting for when you're using the camera in P. And so that's a little trap for young players. So you've got a mode dial up there. Where are we? There it is. There's the mode dial. And we've got it in P at the moment. If you want to change your mode, you just press that. Press the mode dial switch there. And then, let's have a look. Using this wheel on the back here, where my finger is there, you can then change it, I think. I can't see with the reflections there. It should be. Let's have a look. Yeah, it takes you through the different things. Like, for instance, now I've just set it to aperture priority. Wait a minute. Aperture priority there. So, and I'll turn it back now to program mode. Yeah, I've got it back to program mode now. So it's a beautiful camera. You've got a PC socket here if you want to plug an external flash in, because this is a professional grade camera, so you have that. And you've got exposure compensation button up here. To use the exposure compensation, you've got to press, there's a little red button just there, and there's another one just here. So, and you've got to press them both at the same time. Oh, sorry. Let's start again. Those little buttons, if you want to rewind the film, you press them both at the same time. There's no film in this, fortunately, because that just rewound whatever film would have been in there. So that's not the exposure compensation button. No, the exposure compensation button is this green one here. And then I can use this wheel at the back. So if I press the exposure compensation button there, and then pressing it now. Where are we? Then you can change it there. I don't know whether you can see too much of that, but you can actually go plus or minus up and down. So let's just get back to that again. So I've got it on 0, 0, then I had it wound back to minus 1.3, and now I've got it up to plus 1, plus 1.3. So of course, if you know about photography, you know how to use your exposure compensation button, which is very useful on both digital and film cameras as well. So this is a wonderful little camera. You've got a little lever here where if you're taking shots, time exposures and whatever out, and you've got the camera on a tripod and you don't want light coming in through the back of the camera, you can just shut it like that. So you can shut the little viewfinder. See, it opens it up again to stop any light getting in the back. You've got a program lock here, AE lock on the back there, and it's really a very functional camera. I'm going to show you how to put a film in it now. With a bit of luck, I might have to do a bit of editing with this shot, with this camera, with this video, I mean. So let's have a look. What do we got here? We've got a Portra 160 film, 36 exposure, and this is a very popular portrait film. There you are, the Portra 160. Film leader's out. So now it's a tricky way of opening the back of this camera. If you see on here, most cameras have just one lever and you press it up or down and it opens the back. But with this one here, you've got there's two switches there, you see, one at the top and one down the bottom. And you've got to grab hold of those little knobs there with your fingernails and you bring them both in together. Let's have a look. See, you bring them both in together like that, then the back should pop open. See, it did. So there's the back. So we've got to put the film in there. So let's have a go. Okay. So we put the film in there, just slips in there underneath there. There's a bit of a gap down the bottom where it goes in. Then you pull it across over to here. Hopefully, I haven't done this for a long time, so let's hope this works. And then you line it up with that red square over there. And then it should be a simple matter, he says, a simple matter of closing the back and then turn. There you are, just wound it on. So I just shut the back. I didn't even have to have the, I did actually have the camera turned in the on position. If you had it in the off position, I don't think it winds on. But now if I put it in the on position, you can see in the viewfinder there that it's now got ready to take shot number 1. And it should have automatically set the ISO. So I'm going to have a look at that. So if I press this ISO button over here, see there, that's the ISO setting button. You can change that manually, but if I press that, it should show you it's got 160. See, it's got 160 ISO, which is what the film is. So the camera is reading the ISO of the film off the camera. So now I'm ready to take a photo now, but I'm not going to because I'm going to, oh no, maybe I'll take a shot in here and see what it's giving me. So it's giving me a reading at f160. It's telling me it's got a little flash arrow in the viewfinder, which indicates I should be using the flash, but it's giving me a shutter speed of a 15th of a second and an aperture at f4.2. So if I had this on a tripod, I could take this without the flash. So I'm just going to take it anyway, so you can hear the sound of the actual motor winding on. Here we go. What happened then? Didn't take. Now we go. Okay, so it just like, did you hear that? I'll waste another shot and I'll do it again so you can hear it. That's the sound. So what more can I say about this camera? Lots more probably. There's the lever down here. It's just manual focus, continuous focus. Where are we? And single focus. So you've got continuous focus, single focus, autofocus, and manual focus on that little switch down there. So at the moment I've got that on, what have I got it on? I think I had it on manual focus. I'll put it back onto single focus now. So there you go. So it's a beautiful camera. It works with other lenses. I got, this is my f601, which I've talked about before on this camera, but I haven't done a full review of it. And this lens here came with my Nikon F801 when I bought it off of Gumtree from a guy in Tasmania. And this is a, what's this is? This is a Sigma zoom lens, 70 to 210, f5.6. And this lens, this autofocus lens, this will work seamlessly. This is a more modern lens than that one. If I put this one on the other camera, so I'll just show you that. To get these lenses off of all Nikon cameras, they run clockwise. You've got to, there's the release lever there for the lens. You just press that in there, and then you turn it that way. You turn it clockwise to get it off. All other camera manufacturers do it differently. So I've got that lens off of the f601. Now I'm going to swap it over to the f90. I'll just put this on here. We line up that red dot there with the white dot there, I think, is what we do. Sorry, the red dot. See the red dot there? And then there's a white dot there on the camera. So we line it up here. We line them up. It should go in fairly well, he says. Now I've got them both up together. And now if I just do it anti-clockwise, and it clicks back into place. So there you go. Now you've got to have this one set on f22, like I told you before as well, if you're using the camera in the program mode. So I'll turn that on now. And this is a nice zoom lens. And the focus just worked okay. At the other end of the room, and that's working okay. It's a bit close here. It's a bit close. I need to be back a bit for that focus to work properly here. That's in focus here. Now I'm not going to take another shot and waste another film. Anyway, that's a little bit of a look at the F90. Look up the specifications. It's got, let me just find a couple more specifications on the back here. Yeah, that lens $500 to $600 was the cost of the lens, I think, at the time. So specifications, what's the flash sync? Let's have a look at that. I can't find the flash sync on here. I'll put that in afterwards, underneath what the flash sync speed is. Oh, flash sync control, here we go. The flash synchronization for this camera, which is important if you want to use fill flash and things like that, and take flash photos in programmed auto or aperture priority auto. Aperture priority auto, shutter operates from 1/250th to 1/60th of a second. So mostly it's 1/250th of a second is your maximum shutter speed, but there's all sorts of stuff about the flash on here, and you'd probably want to look up the specifications on how that actually works. Anyway, that's all a bit too complicated to read out on a YouTube video like this. I have to do some editing of this afterwards. So I'm going to show you now some film, some shots. I'll just put this back on this camera here. This is the one that's going to put this lens back on the F601. I can find where to do that. Okay, so that's back on there. So I'm going to now share the screen and show you some photos I've taken with this camera, only in black and white film, with the Nikon F90 a while ago. And I'm not sure there's a new film or not. They're a little bit grainy, some of these shots. Some I took when I first bought the camera in the central market of the people I was with at the time, but I won't show them to you of people because I haven't got a model release for those to put them on my YouTube channel. So I'm just going to go in and show you some shots I've taken with this camera a while ago. Okay, so these are some shots I've taken not long after I got this camera a while ago and had them processed in a film lab, and you just have a look at them. They're all black and white. Whenever I've done this sort of a process, I've tried to just write on a piece of paper and take a photo with the camera itself to tell me which film I'm using, because I've got that many cameras and that many films all going at the same time. I never know. So this is some shots taken on this very same Nikon F90, and I took that photo with this camera. So we'll just go through some of these shots here. And that's showing the brochure I've just been showing you out the back of our place. I just took a photo of that sitting on, we've got this old church pew there, sitting on that there. Same one, showing bricks underneath there. You can see a brochure for the Nikon F801 over there on the left, F801S. I'll talk about my F801 one day. And that's the one that I've shown you before, the Nikon F601. And that was a photo I took with this F90 sitting on the same pew. That's in the back in a big tree we've got in the backyard, which is just up above me here. And that's an interesting shot, a lot of detail in there, and it's a very busy photo. I don't like the photo, but it's just gives you some idea. Now, this is just out in the back in our pergola there. That's a couple of still objects to just give you a bit of an idea. It's a bit grainy, that. And this is in the backyard with some clothes hanging on the clothesline. And this is inside here with, and that's a ghetto blaster of mine that I took that with just a flash. Must have been using the on-camera flash with that, but it wasn't bouncing off the ceiling or anything. But that gives you some idea of that. Sorry, I was using a speed light on the top of the camera, it hasn't got an inbuilt flash, this camera. That's some brick paving in the backyard, ladder down the backyard by the shed. That's in here, once again, using the flash with just some of the cameras and things that I had on display on the shelf behind me at the time. You might notice when you look at these videos that the backgrounds are changing all the time, although it's always the same, but it's always different. And that's just a bit of my untidiness in here. That's quite tidy, actually, compared to mostly of some of the objects that I took just without doing too much with the camera, just setting it in program. That's out the back again, just some old cardboard boxes with a chair there to give you some idea. Down the backyard, a trellis fence that we've got down there to give you a little bit of an idea. And this is, we went on a holiday to Kapunda probably 18 months ago or somewhere, or maybe 12 months ago. And these are some black and white shots. We were staying in a caravan park with some cabins, some black and white shots that I took there of the road by the big gum trees. There's a lady walking her dog in the morning. And I'll show you a couple of shots here that I took on my Canon 700D at the same time to show the scene in colour. But these are all black and white, of course. So that's the same scene in colour on the Canon 700D. And that's also in the same area at the same time. Now, this is our car out the front of one of the cabins, on the side of one of the cabins there. One of the other family members in their cabin. And that's about where it, many shots as I've got to show you at this stage. So there you are. It's a great camera. I'd highly recommend it if you want to get a really good professional level camera that's got all the settings under the sun. The Nikon F90 and the Nikon F100 is the one after that. That is a good camera as well. But these cameras are really nice, even though they're made out of plastic. They're very solid. They've got a very solid feel to them. And I would recommend them if you want to get into some serious film photography. There's a number of lenses out there around the place you can get for them. So I hope that's just been a little bit of an introduction to the Nikon F90. And I think it's a great camera. And I'm now keen to try the colour film in it now that I've put a Portra 160 film in it now, and I'll see what I get. So maybe probably a year down the track when I've got round to processing that, I might show you the results of that. So, and I might actually put this camera up for sale before too much longer, but not until I've actually finished that roll of film in there. So we'll see how we go. So thanks for watching. Like if you like, subscribe if you wish, and I'll see you next time.